Good evening. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. It's Champions League night. It's also bonfire night. The ultimate disclaimer, I've got 5 dogs in a spare room listening to Classic FM because they are all very frightened poochies. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the X handle, and I'm delighted to be joined by Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley, who's parked up somewhere near Celtic Park. Ryan, how are you, sir?
Things are good, yeah. 10 out of 11 for both of us with regard to the team. The player that's missing out, guess we'll talk quite a bit about him in the next half an hour or so and talk about his current situation because there's news breaking that it looks as if Valle might be going back to Barcelona in January. We'll wait to hear from Brendan Rodgers to see if there is actually anything in that story, but it seems like it's close. It's sources close to Barcelona that are saying that Hansi Flick's been impressed with the 20-year-old. I'll just read out the team, Tony, in full. So we've got Kasper Schmeichel in goals. The one change coming at left back, it's Greg Taylor, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Alistair Johnson. We've got Arnott Engels, Callum McGregor and Rio Hatate in the midfield. And up front, we've got Kyogo, partnered by Maeda on the left and Nicholas Kuhn on the right. The subs this evening are Sinisalo, Scales, Palma, Ida, the aforementioned Valle, Yang, McCowan, Nawrowski, Bernardo, Forrest, Ralston and Welsh. So yeah, bit of a breaking news coming out. Not maybe the news that we want to hear, especially considering the good performances that we've heard recently or we've seen recently from Alex Bailly. But yeah, I guess it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I'm sure that Brendan Rodgers will get asked a question after the game tonight and he can explain his thinking behind that. But if true, then it looks like Barcelona could well be recalling Alex Valle from his loan spell. And that's a pity, Ryan, because he's been building up a head of steam with Celtic, hasn't he, and progressing along rather nicely. You were hoping that Celtic would maybe enter into some kind of negotiation with Barcelona and sign him on a permanent deal.
The narrative has now completely changed with Alex Bailly because they're now talking about him potentially going into the first team and being in and around there. Now, I know he was there in pre-season, but I thought that maybe Celtic would have an agreement with Barcelona towards the end, maybe not even in writing, but a gentleman's agreement between the two clubs that they would sit at the negotiation tables at the end of the season to thrash out a deal between the two teams. Bailly himself rejected an option to buy in his contract with Celtic because he, quite rightly, he backs himself. He's only 20 years old. He sees himself as being a Barcelona player in the future, and you can't grudge him that at all because he's a young player. He's came through La Masia. It would be disappointing for Celtic. I think it would be doubly disappointing due to Greg Taylor's contractual situation, where all of a sudden in the summer Celtic could have no first choice left back and they'll have to go into the market and sign one, maybe even two if Matthew Anderson doesn't come back and be the first team player that we hope he can be in the coming years. Same for Mitchell Frame in that regard. But yeah, it's a disappointment development, but I'm not too surprised because at 20 years old and the ceiling that he's got, he's more than good enough to make the leap up to Barcelona's first team. He already was in pre-season and now he's finally starting to show it. And unfortunately, the Catalan Giants are watching him as he's doing it.
Yes, they are indeed, and it would be a shame, but we shall probably hear from Brendan Rodgers on that subject either before or after the match. Ryan, huge night for Celtic, huge night in the Champions League. Match day 4, Celtic have got 4 points from their opening 3 games. Can they make it a magnificent 7 after 4 games, Ryan? That's a big question, isn't it? Can they claim a real European heavyweight scalp?
It is the question, yeah, and we'll find out the answer in about 2-3 years' time. But right now is the exciting part because I think we're all looking forward to the game that's ahead of us tonight. We're just under an hour until kick-off. As I was saying on the morning briefing this morning, I was excited when that 24-hour alert was there from Celtic and it was 24 hours to go. Now we are just under an hour. We're into 59 minutes to go. I'll be counting down 58 minutes now. I can see in the top right hand of the corner of my screen. I'm just really excited for the game, to be honest. I always look forward for Celtic playing against German opposition. It doesn't always go their way, but I think they're always exciting games regardless. I think of Bayern Munich at home under Brendan Rodgers. I think that was his second season in charge, where they were mightily unlucky not to get anything after Callum McGregor scored an equaliser. Could be a night for him against RB Leipzig, against more German opposition. He's already got some history with German opposition with the chance that he missed in Mönchengladbach. which was an absolute sitter looking back on it. But we won't go over old ground. It's all about tonight. If Celtic can come away with this with 7 points after 4 games, then we need to start seriously looking ahead to the playoffs, because they put themselves in a really good situation with 4 games to go if they were 7 points up. But let's just see how the game goes. Let's see how RB Leipzig play. Celtic play to the best of their abilities and Leipzig play to the best of their abilities. Unfortunately, I think that Leipzig will win the game. But, you've got to be in it to win it for Celtic. And if they show the cracking form that they've shown recently, especially against Aberdeen, then they've got more than a chance in this game, especially with that home court advantage, that home crowd advantage. I'm just looking forward to getting in and sampling that atmosphere, to be honest.
I bet you can't wait. It's such a mouth-watering clash tonight. Everybody looking forward to it. Thank you for the 260 odd people that are joining us live on the stream. We really do appreciate it, guys. What's your thoughts on the starting 11? I'll try and flick some comments up. Ryan, where's this game going to be won or lost?
The midfield in particular. I would say the midfield battle between RB Leipzig and Celtic is going to be absolutely key. As much as the defence and the attack are important, I think if you win the middle of the park, you go a long way into securing the victory for your side. I'm looking at Hatate. I want to see the Aberdeen Hatate and not maybe the Ross County Hatate or the... I'm trying to think of other games in which he was poor in. Maybe even against Rangers, he wasn't as good as what you would have expected him to be. If we see the Aberdeen Hatate, then we're in for a treat. If we see the Aberdeen Arne Engels and the Slovan Bratislava Engels, same for Hatate, he was good against Slovan Bratislava. If we see that version and not the Borussia Dortmund version, then Celtic will be in a really good spot for this game. And Cal McGregor being the captain, he's used to being in these situations. I think he's covered the most ground out of any player in the Champions League so far, which doesn't necessarily surprise me. I think that was the statistic that was coming through from UEFA. So, even though he's getting on a bit in age, I know he's only 31 and 32, he's still getting about the pitch with relative ease, and he's going to have to be in top form tonight to keep this RB Leipzig team quiet. But I think the midfield's the most important place. The defence has got to stay resolute, and the attack has got to take chances when they come. I think they'll realise how important chances will be when they come, and they've got to take them.
Get your predictions coming in as well, guys. I'll read them out. Myself and Ryan will give our own predictions near the end of the briefing. Ryan, it is 10 out of 11 starting from Saturday. Any qualms about fitness-wise or anything like that, or do you feel that there's enough on the bench who can come on? Substitutes, I don't know if you've got them in front of you, if you want to read them out or not, but... No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read them out at the start there, but I'll read them out again. So you get Sinisalo, Scales, Palma, Ida, Valle, Yang, McCowan, Nabrowski, Bernardo, Forrest, Ralston, Welsh. I'm looking at the likes of McCowan, Bernardo, maybe Valle, Palma, Ida. I'm looking at those players as being the players that can come on and make a difference for Celtic. It's a game of two. It is. I know it's another cliche, but it's a game of two halves. But I've said one half is 60 minutes, and the other half is 30. Once you make those subs and those players coming onto the park, have got to make a significant difference as well and catch up with the speed of the game. I think back to the last time Celtic played RB Leipzig at home, or one of the last times that they played them. Actually, it would have been a couple of years ago. But I remember in particular Yusuf Alumbu coming onto the pitch and not keeping up with the speed of the game whatsoever. Celtic can't afford to have that tonight from one of their players coming on, whether that be McCowan, Bernardo, Valle, Scales, etc. I don't think they will, but having a player that looks like a deer in the headlights, it won't cut it at this level. Celtic have got to have their 11 men on the park having a good game, plus the extra 4 or 5 that come on off the bench. They've all got to step up and do what's required tonight. It's a team effort. Brendan Rodgers said the best player in the team is the team itself, and that's the only way Celtic are going to win tonight, if they play as a team and fight for each other.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. And they've got to be as concentrated as they can be, Ryan, in every department. He said to them to bring their A game. That's exactly what Celtic need to do tonight, because you are cranking up the opposition a fair level, aren't you? They are a great side. They're second in the Bundesliga at this minute in time, and they've no points from their first 3 matches. Granted, they've played calibre teams as well, top calibre teams. The first 3 games, they have a point to prove tonight, Ryan, haven't they?
They certainly do, but they've been making a point domestically. It's just not been translated to European football as of yet. As far as I'm aware, they're second in the Bundesliga table, 3 points behind Bayern Munich, I believe. So they've had a great start to the season under Marco Rosa. a seasoned veteran now when it comes to Bundesliga football, and you know what they're coming with. You know they're going to come with a 4-2-2-2 formation. That's very unique, but it suits pressing down to a T. They're going to have two players in most positions looking to cause havoc, similar to the havoc that I can hear outside your house with the fireworks going on at this moment in time. It's not as bad here, although I think that the fireworks, hopefully not the pyrotechnic fireworks, but I think the fireworks will be on in Celtic Park tonight, hopefully, and pardon the pun, but I hope it's a cracker tonight against RB Leipzig. That is what I've got my fingers crossed for. I just want Celtic to really turn up in this game, similar to the way that they turned up against Bratislava. Now, I know that they were the favourites in that game, going into that game, but they lived up to that hype and then some. They know that they're coming up against a much improved side in RB Leipzig when compared to Bratislava. But if they get the chances in front of goal, and they will get chances because they're at home, they've got to take them and really make it difficult. Make this RB Leipzig team doubt themselves tonight, and you might just get something out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think lots of Celtic supporters, I wouldn't say they're confident per se, Ryan, but they're not dreading this game. They're going to meet it head on, and we want to show that Celtic belong at this stage, and it would be a monumental result if Celtic could win this football match, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be. It would be that scalp that we've been talking about. Would you be able to mute your mic when just because it's really loud. It's loud on both sides, to be honest. But if we can mute it as much as we can, then we'll be doing not too bad. I think if Celtic can get a scalp tonight, it's not just in terms of the individual game, because it would be a good result and and Celtic would get confidence off of that. But in terms of the league phase and the structure of the league, it would really put them in a great space going into the Club Brugge game. I look at that game as a bit of a 50-50, but maybe a 60-40 in Celtic's favour. This one, I think it's more of a 50-50. It's an even game because of the home side, because Celtic are the home side. If they were away from home, I would probably say it's 60-40, 70-30 in favour of Marco Rose's RB Leipzig side. But I think that this crowd and the way that this crowd functions is a leveller in ties like these, and that's what it's got to be. It's got to be a fortress. I know it's a cliche. It's another cliche. Celtic Park has got to be a fortress tonight, and they've got to make it as horrible as possible for RB Leipzig to come to. Because if it becomes a spectator event, becomes a tourist event, then it's only going to help RB Leipzig, because they're probably used to playing that back in Germany in their own stadium with their relatively new fans that maybe aren't as passionate as maybe more traditional fans. As a relatively new fan base, Celtic have got to bring that passion out. The supporters have got to bring the passion out by the required means, and if they do that, then they'll be that 12th man on the pitch, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, Celtic have to use that home advantage, court advantage, call it what you like tonight, and everybody playing their part, Ryan. And I think the players can get lifted from the support that they'll get from the stands, because it's so vital. But I just feel that if Celtic turn up tonight, this is a game that's there for the taking. There is joy to be had, Ryan, I believe.
Yeah, I think in numerous areas Celtic can hurt RB Leipzig. None more so than Nicholas Kuhn, who RB Leipzig will know all about from his time there in the youth academy. So actually speaking to Marvin Comper, that interview will be out next week at some point, a big interview with the former Celtic player. Made only one appearance for Celtic, but can still be categorised as a Celtic player. He actually worked with Nicholas Kuhn in the RB Leipzig academy, so he knew all about this player and he knew about the potential that he had. Ajax knew about the potential. Bayern Munich knew about the potential. St. Pauli knew about the potential. Rapid Vienna then bought that untapped potential. Now Celtic are benefiting off of that. We heard the news stories last night from Germany that Premier League clubs were interested. Well, they've got to put their money where their mouth is. I said 40 million euros, which would roughly equate to £33 million. I don't think that's out with the realms of possibility for a player like Nicholas Kuhn, especially if he starts knocking on the door internationally as well. They're a team that Germany are a team that are kind of getting aging wingers in their team now. They need a new influx. Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané, etc. They aren't getting any younger. So, the next generation are coming through. I think that Nicholas Kuhn could be good enough to play for Germany with his one-on-one ability, and he's shooting outside the box and just inside the box. But yeah, he's an asset for Celtic just now, and I'm just enjoying him while he's here, to be honest. But RB Leipzig know all about him, but they'll also know about other players too. They'll know about Engels from his time at Augsburg. They'll know about Maeda through scouting. Kyogo through scouting, Hatate. They've played against these players before in the Champions League against Celtic. They'll know all about them. Maybe they didn't have the performance that maybe they would have expected against them, but now is the chance to make amends and atone for those errors on the night at Celtic Park. If Celtic are in this, then they can very easily win this game. I think that a couple of things need to go right for them. They need to be at their best and hope that RB Leipzig have a little bit of an off night, but Celtic can make it an off night for them by being dangerous on the counter or by taking their chances when they come along.
Yeah, big night for Kuhn, big night for the likes of Engels as well, and even Austin Trusty show that he can replicate that form from Bergamo, Ryan, and also Carter Vickers as well coming in. He's missed a lot of Champions League matches, but it's a huge night for that central defensive pair, isn't it? If they can repel RB Leipzig's strike force, then Celtic, again, as you say, Celtic will be in this match and then some and have a chance of real success.
Yeah, in these areas, if Celtic are resolute at the back, if they're strong in the midfield and they're strong going forward and take their chances alongside Kasper Schmeichel having a really good game, then they've got every chance of winning this game. But it's a team effort tonight. It's not just one player. It's not about one individual moment of brilliance, even though that might be where the goal comes from the likes of Kuhn, Engels, Hatate, etc. If they get on the score sheet, brilliant. But then you've got the other 89 minutes of the game to worry about, and everybody's got to pull for themselves. I'm delighted that Cameron Carter-Vickers is in that team next to Austin Trusty. I think we're starting to see the formation of a really strong centre-half pair, an all-American pair at the back between those two. You've got what a lot of people would have said maybe at the start of the season, maybe on the 1st of September or the 2nd of September, that would be their first choice back four of Taylor, Trusty, Carter-Vickers and Johnson. There has been that emergence of Alex Valle as a viable option at left back. I think I would have preferred to have seen him in the team tonight, just given what he's shown recently for Celtic. But, I've got no doubt that Taylor can do a job on the night too. He's been here before, he's experienced at this level, and Alistair Johnson is experienced too. The one thing I would worry about with Johnson is that he's managing to accumulate quite a few yellow cards already in the competition. I want him to, walk on that tightrope with caution and not be cautioned, because if he is cautioned, then he'll be out of the next game with a suspension. I think he's got 2 or 3 already, so they'll be piling up and accumulating, and you don't want that ending up in a suspension for him, because as much as I admire what Tony Ralston brings to the team, he's nowhere near the level of Johnson, in my opinion, and you do see that downgrade. Not a downgrade, but you do see the lesser quality when Ralston comes into the team when compared to Alistair Johnson. So that's maybe something to watch out for.
You want Johnson to screw a nut, as they say, Ryan, in terms of the bookings. I'll go through some comments here, and apologies if the fireworks go off. Just can't help it. All right, but here we go. 2-0. Giza says 420 somewhere. Good positive start. Smell the gloves saying the night Engels becomes a man. You're hoping that's true. Kingdom 54 saying pressure is on RB tonight. If Celtic are patient, that could work to their advantage. It most certainly could. 2-1 Celtic, says Celt 88. And Craig Rankin also going for 2-1 Celtic. Lots of Celtic predictions here, Ryan. John McQuillan saying 3-1 Celtic. Shuggy Goals a bit more pragmatic, saying 2 each. And Daniel McAlpine from South Africa, love the team. 2-1 Celtic, he's saying hail, hail. JM saying 2-1 and nobody injured, please, it's Celtic. And Golfer saying Celts are going to slay a Euro giant tonight. 2-1. Hazel Finn, evening Hazel, how you doing? Regular contributor. 3-1, but really hope for a clean sheet again. And Jackie Dillon, she would have preferred Vi to start instead of Taylor, but if Celtic play the best of their ability, she thinks they can well. She's still going for 1-0 to Celtic. Sean Bush saying 2-1. Perry saying 1 each. And Daniel Stewart saying Mon Celtic, Maida to score first, and 2-1 Celtic. Ryan, lots of Celtic prediction there, and 420 somewhere gifted another Celtic Way membership. 420 somewhere, that's brilliant of you. Thank you so much. And if you want to read out the spiel going along the bottom, Ryan, you can tell them how they can get involved in that.
I certainly will, and if you've been a member on the YouTube channel recently, you'll have had the Grand Old Team podcast early, as well as the Inside Track on RB Leipzig with my chat with Justin of Talk RLB podcast. He's made his way around the podcast, but we managed to get a hold of him, and I thought it was a really insightful half an hour. So if you've got half an hour before the game, you want to learn more about RB Leipzig, then check that out. Or maybe even if you want to watch it after the game, if you want to see where Celtic maybe exploited some of RB Leipzig's weaknesses, then go back and watch that, give it a look and give it a watch. If you want to support us just that little bit more, you can join our YouTube members channel for just £2.99 a month. By doing that, you'll receive early video access, priority comments, an exclusive members chat function. Click that join button right next to the subscribe button on your desktop and become a YouTube member. And we thank everybody that's done so far. And a big thank you to 420 Somewhere for gifting a subscription. You'll be the person that wins that will be absolutely delighted with that. I think it gets given to a random subscriber, so you've got to be in it to win it with regard to that. Thank you so much, 420. We really do appreciate it.
It's very kind, 420 Somewhere, and it's not the first time you've done that, so it is noted. And
absolutely.
Absolutely appreciated. So thank you so much, top person, whoever's doing that. Appreciate it greatly. More. Heart says 2-1, head says 1 each, smell the glove. And Maestro saying 3-2, Maestro 95, 3-2. And Martin Nichols saying going for 3-1, but you would take a 1-0 win with an OG, anything for the win. So yeah, lots of confidence abounding there, Ryan. I'm liking that from the supporters. They're feeling that they can pull this off.
Well, I don't blame them, and I'm personally confident myself because of what I watched on Saturday. And if Celtic can replicate that sort of performance from Saturday to Tuesday, it's only been 3 days. If they can keep up those same levels, then they'll get every chance of getting a result against RB Leipzig, whether or not that's a draw or a win. I think either result would be good on the night if you're still picking up points. You're not losing games, you're keeping on winning games or drawing games and getting points out of them and just climbing up that table. Or maybe you're stagnating or maybe you're going down just ever so slightly, but there'll be other teams that are losing games as well. It's all about what happens at the end of the 8th game and you see where you're at. As long as Celtic are 24th or higher, then they'll be in a playoff for the next round, the Champions League. That's got to be the target, although they can set their sights even higher if they get a win tonight. 7 points. I'd be expecting Celtic to get 10, 13, 14 points from the rest of their games. That'd be an ideal total for Celtic. Then you don't even know if you're pushing for top 8 at that point. But as long as you're in that top 24, I'm not going to get too greedy. Get into that top 24. I think it'd be tremendous progress from where Celtic were last season. And I think it would also put importance towards that result against Feyenoord, because it seems like it's almost been a catalyst to the sort of performances we've been seeing from Celtic in the Champions League. I think that certainly had a factor to play, or it had a part to play in Celtic's good performance against Bratislava, because they broke the Champions League duck, and they felt good about it afterwards. And they brought that into the next season. Yes, there was some different players, but I think the overall mood of the club changed once they got that last-minute winner from Gustav Lagerbielke. If they could get a win tonight and really take a massive scalping in the face of European football, then put themselves in a really good position for the remaining games.
One game at a time, sweet Ryan, as they say. But yeah, they
absolutely
could put themselves in a wonderful position. You're right. And the final game proves that there's no such thing as a dead rubber. It's all preparation. It was all about the learning and development of Celtic, especially at home, and Brendan Rodgers bringing back, not saying a swagger per se just yet, but bringing back a wee bit of the pride and honour and prestige of playing in this elite level competition. Warren B, thank you so much. Became a YouTube member, a new member. That's very kind. Appreciate that. Lots of going for Smell the Glove saying going for 3 Champions League home wins in a row. We certainly are. Here's hoping they can do that. And we can't underestimate the importance of that final win, Ryan. I agree with you completely on that. Squeak 1888, hoping for a 2-1 Celtic, but he'd also take the draw. Take the win, Ryan. We want the win, don't we? And
you've got to go out and
Neil Stewart saying that was Lena Marcel, Victoria. I know it was Lena Marcel. You're very right. For those of you who have a certain vintage, Ryan will probably know that as well. But yeah, you've got to take the win, haven't you, if you can get it?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to play for wins in the Champions League, because if you go out and play for a draw, then you'll get beat more than likely in the game. You've got to have that winning mentality. Brendan Rodgers brings him winning mentality. That's why people were so excited for him to come back as Celtic boss. There was the awkwardness, yes, when he came back because of the way that he'd left. They also knew that he was a born winner and he was born to win football matches, especially for Celtic Football Club, whilst being the manager. And yeah, it's good to see that he can do that in Europe as well. I just think tonight could be the night for something special to happen. I'm fingers crossed that's the case. You know, these games have a mind of their own, the European games, but if Celtic keep in it and they play to the best of their abilities and they endeavour hard, then who knows? They could get the 3 points that we're all hoping for and put themselves in a really good position. But the way the game goes, it could be that a draw is a good result at the end of it. But yeah, we'll keep a keen eye and watch and see what happens. Oh, Tony, I can't hear you. You've muted yourself.
Just saying, Danielle Stewart saying her granny told her to say that it was Lena Martell. I know exactly who it was. And I say thank you to Martin Nichol for his comment. He loves Big Tony and Ryan. Full attack the mighty Celtic Glasgow. Thank you so much. Yeah, Danielle, I knew exactly that it was Lena Martell. I was just joshing with young Ryan there. Don't know if he knows it was Lena Martell, but he knows now. There you go. So, Brian, so who are you hoping is going to be the star man tonight for Celtic? And I'll get a prediction off you if you want to go first in your predictions.
3-2 Celtic is what I'll go for. I think there'll be goals for both sides. But I think that Celtic will score more goals at home.
I don't believe you. That was.
Is that your one as well?
Yeah. I said it in the team, the predicted 11. I said Celtic win by the odd goal in 5. But there you go.
I think that 3-2. It just seems like it's going to be that sort of game. I think both teams will score goals. You know, you get the might of Leipzig up front with Lois Openda as well as Benjamin Sesko. Keep an eye out for him. You'll see him from a mile away. He's a big, tall striker, very much like Erling Haaland. That he is one hell of a talent coming through. I think it's Slovenia he plays for internationally, but he's a brilliant young talent, only 21 years old. But I've heard about him for a few years now. If you know about a 19, 18-year-old striker, then you know that he'll be some player when he's 21, 22, and that's seemingly the case. All of Leipzig's goals so far in the Champions League this season have came from Benjamin Sesko. So if Celtic can keep him quiet, then they'll go a long way into making the game a little bit easier for themselves. That's the player to look out for. Who do I think is going to be the hero? To be honest, Tony, I'm really not fussed tonight as long as it happens. Whether it's Kyogo, Kun, Maeda, a defender, a midfielder, as long as the team works, and I'm going to take the sort of cop-out answer and say as long as the team works well and the 11 give their best as well as the subs coming on, then it doesn't really matter who's the one that's the hero on the night as long as somebody is. Whether that's maybe a good defensive performance, a couple of goals for a player, a midfield dominance from a player like Hatate or Engels, as long as they step up to the plate and show Leipzig that they are a cracking side themselves, not just the visitors, then I've got no complaints who's going to be the hero on the night. Anybody, to be honest.
Talking about that this morning, at Celtic have got quality players just as much as RB Leipzig, so time to show that. Perry, would love to see Engels getting the score sheet tonight. Is this the night for the long ranger, Ryan? 25-yarder? And Trusty says Maestro 95. Would like a bit of that too. Don't care who scores as long as it's one more than RB Leipzig. Celtic will be in dreamland if that's the case.
Celtic have got a very special guest tonight at the game. A couple of special guests actually. They get the man versus food person. If you watched that interview earlier on today, I think it's Adam Richmond. I think his name is. He was absolutely brilliant. If anybody's not watched that, check out the socials. But also a hero of Barcelona is in the stadium tonight. None other than Victor Wanyama is at Celtic Park to take in the game tonight. He'll be watching out for his former teammate as well of Montreal and Alistair Johnson. So I hope he has a good night and I hope he brings some good luck because we know how good he was on a European night. Wish he still had the legs to play in that defensive midfield role for Celtic, to be honest, because you'd feel a lot better about the defence in the midfield if he was in it.
Great player for Celtic. Had the pleasure of interviewing him once as well, and he was a top man. And he ended the interview by saying, "Hail, hail, Tony." You couldn't believe it, eh? Absolutely brilliant. But lovely man. Yeah, gave me a great interview. Really enjoyed it. Spoke about Barcelona, et al. And his Celtic career and said he loved playing for the team. And he was instrumental in telling Alistair Johnson not to hesitate to sign for Celtic. So good on him. And he still speaks very highly about the club. So brilliant to see Victor Wanyama tonight. If Celtic can channel that 2012 Barcelona result, Ryan. It'd be wonderful. It'd be another night to remember on the 5th of November. Here's hoping we'll remember it for every reason. I'll let you go, Ryan, because there's still fireworks going on in the background in East Kilbride. Unbelievable. But enjoy tonight, sir. I hope it's a great occasion and you enjoy it. We'll reconvene, result dependent, as always, guys. But we'll be back on. I feel it's going to be a late one tonight, but I feel it might be a late good one. We shall see. We'll reconvene on that. Ryan, take care. Enjoy yourself, and we'll see you all soon, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the game, and fingers crossed Celtic get that result.